Hello everybody, and welcome to part 2 of this week's video. Once again, I am I am your brave, fearless captain, Moshe Kaufman, aka the Disgruntled Yid. And now we're gonna get into the main topic of the video. So, when I went on when I was looking up that term, the bicycle, and I found that video, which, by the way, the video not very helpful. So, I mean, I thought it was cool at first, but now thinking about it, maybe it's because I found out that the Verily Bitchy is a rabid anti-Israel lunatic, which again is par for the course with a lot of Gen Z and a lot of the LGBT community, unfortunately. Odd, considering that Israel is the safest place in the Middle East to be gay, bi, or lesbian, or trans, but whatever. We're not going to get into that right now. But what I want to talk about, so the bicycle, I was curious what that term meant. And what it is over time, with bisexual people, their tastes will shift and turn, just like anybody, really. I mean, that's true of anyone. But, because bisexual people like both, there's a very unique split between the two. Because people just assume, like all the stereotypical things that you would normally find hot or attractive about a man, and that you would find about a woman, stereotypically, traditionally, you would, that a bisexual person would just have those characteristics. So for example, a bisexual man will want blue-eyed, blonde, big bosomed, skinny, hourglass waist, maybe mid-20s, very young, bubbly, happy, hi, very sexy type chick, like a James Bond girl, and for a man, well, then it must mean that you want to date, or you want to sleep with, like a young Arnold Schwarzenegger, let's say. Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger's never really been traditionally handsome. I mean, with that big square-faced jaw of his, and like, oh, hello, I'm Arnold. Like, I don't think that's, I don't think any woman has ever heard, from kindergarten, ever heard that audio excerpt from Kindergarten Cop, put the cookie down, and just been like, ooh, I'm so wet, no, a better example would be like, like the kind of guys you see at the gym. I can't think of a good, famous celebrity as an example. Just like the kind of guys at the gym, muscular, fit, good hair, cool hair, styled, fancy watch, whatever, dressed all good, handsome, that $1 million pearly white smile, the whole thing. So you would think, oh, so a bisexual man would be attracted to that type of man, and to the James Bond, James Bond girl type of girl, right? Or the Playboy bunny type of girl. Well, but the thing is, like, human beings are far more complex than that. And that basic model, that what we would think of as the default model, I mean, is already wrapped up in so much cultural bias and American, sort of centrism to begin with. And no, I'm not gonna be like one of these, like, we need to, like, decolonize sexuality. Like, no, I'm not like one of these people. I'm not gonna be like one of those, like, decolonize your mind, man. Like, but human beings are far more complex than just that. Like, me personally, myself, being bi, I am attracted to the typical, muscular, handsome, sort of, stereotypically attractive man. That's the kind of guy I'm attracted to. Also, I'm very attracted to guys that are like, not that they are young, but that they're youthful looking. Not that in the sense that they look physically young, but that they have they're fresh. They have like a personality and just like a radiance about them that's just like ever young, ever alive, ever go, like let's go. Let's like just, that sort of spirit about them. But interestingly enough, I'm also attracted to, at that same time, to the quiet, sort of shy, introverted kind of guy. The quiet, the quiet emo loner type, as well as but even that person, they have something about them. There's just like, it's not even like necessarily, I don't want to say a joy or enthusiasm, but there's something about them that they're just ever young. That's just their personality. Like, they never get old. Like, and I don't mean physically, but I mean like psychologically. They're just like, they don't have a mentality of oh, it's over and done with. Like, they have a mentality of always like, okay, let's try something new. Let's do something different. Let's look at things from another angle. Like, let's never become just stuck and settled in our ways. Sort of, that sort of thing. I don't really know a good way to describe it, but that's like what I'm attracted to, like, in guys. And physically, like, like I said, I like, your stereotypical handsome, not necessarily all muscular. I mean, I could like a muscular guy. When they're too muscular and it's like where their veins are like popping out, like the size of like giant earthworms, like their veins are like huge and they're like, ugh! Like that I don't find attractive. That I find actually quite a bizarre and a turnoff, to be honest. I like guys that just look natural, like, not natural, but I mean, I'm attracted to guys that are naturally muscular. Like, guys that, like, they take care of themselves. They're in shape. They're good looking. They're healthy. That sort of thing. That's what I'm attracted to. But, like, the kind where they're, like, they get, like, all anabolic and they're, they get up on the crazy fucking steroids and their like bodies look like they're gonna explode from the blood pressure, and they're like, like, yeah, no, that I'm not attracted to. I'm also not attracted to like super masculine men. So men with like lots of like lot of body hair, men really with like lots of facial hair, that sort of thing. Like men with beards, like big beards, like, or men like with big bellies, like big, big old burly men, like big old burly mountain men. That like grizzly, like Grizzly Adams, like that sort of. I'm not into that. I don't find that attractive at all. Actually, the more hyper masculine they become, the less attracted I am. I'm attracted to men that have more gentle, soft sort of features. I guess you could say feminine features. But then it's like, all right, well then, you know who has feminine features, Moshe? Women. And you're bi, so you also like women. But here's the interesting thing about that. Because even with women, I'm the same way. I'm not attracted to masculine women. Like, like women that are like bald, which, I don't know. I could say I'm a hypocrite, but, I mean, just because I'm bald doesn't mean I have to be attracted to other bald people. And I actually am attracted to other bald people if they're good looking enough. I mean, yeah, if a guy is bald and he's handsome, even a girl, I can even find a bald girl sexy. I mean, I'll be honest, it wouldn't be like my first thing, my first choice, but I mean, I suppose I could. I suppose it could happen. If I were a Satmar Chassid, I'd have to, because their wives shave their heads and then wear wigs. That's a whole other topic. But yeah, it's so like in women, I'm attracted to like obviously very feminine women. I'm not attracted to women that have very masculine characteristics, and it's the same thing with men. I'm not attracted to men that have. I'm not saying I'm not attracted to masculine men. I am, but I'm not attracted to hyper masculine men. So, like for example, if a guy's handsome and he's good looking and he has a little bit of body hair here and there, that's cool. I could roll with it. In fact, I could even probably learn to love it over time. I could probably learn to love it. I could definitely tolerate it, and yeah, I could probably even learn to like it, to enjoy it. But like, if a guy looks like full on fucking Wolfman, like, if you're full on fucking, if you're full on Robin Williams, like, if you got Robin Williams gorilla arms, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to date Sasquatch, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to fuck the Yeti, alright? Hashtag sorry not sorry. So, that's just the way my mind is, that's the way my orientation works. That's the way my bisexuality works. Is I'm attracted to men with particular characteristics that are distinct to the male category, and women that have character. Oh, I'm actually going to get into that in a minute. But so that's the kind of men I'm into. Interestingly, with women, it becomes very different. With women, first of all, I have a much broader range. I'm a lot less picky about what turns me on, like, with women than with men. With men, for some reason, I'm a lot more picky and more choosy. And by the way, this going on and on about myself may seem like a bizarre and pointless exercise for no reason, but it's very relevant. You'll see. I'm getting to it. With women, and you'll see there's a point to all this. There's a reason I'm going into all this information. With women, I'm actually more attracted to things that people normally consider less conventionally, if not outright unattractive to some people, features of in women. With women, I'm attracted to women that are I'd say heavier, larger. Um, I like big girls. Let's be. I like for lack of a better term, and with all the love in my heart, I mean no disrespect by this term. It's just for lack of a better one I could think of off the top of my head. I like fat chicks. There we go. I said it. Like as if it was ever a secret. I've never hid it. I've never hidden it. I've always been pretty open. I'm actually not attracted to skinny girls. Like skinny, like, your typical thin, model, blonde haired, blue eyed type. I'm not attracted to that. Like, at all. For real, like, actually, to be honest, if all women looked like that, I would probably be gay. I'm not even joking. I'm not attracted to, like, your traditional model, like, that you would put on a magazine. Or, like, your typical, young, hot celebrity. I'm just not. They do nothing for me. They don't make my heart skip faster. They don't make me sweat. They don't make my, let's just say they don't make much stirring in the basement, if you catch my drift. Yeah, they do nothing. They do nothing for me. I don't think they're ugly. I'm not repulsed by them. It's not like that. Um, I just, they're just whatever. They're just okay. It's like a mayo sandwich, like just white bread and mayo, like not even a lot of mayo, just a thin layer of mayo on white bread, and that's okay. I mean, yeah, it's a sandwich. It's not a fun sandwich. Um, so basically, I guess what I'm really saying is, what is her name? Lizzo. Basically, what I'm saying is, I want more Lizzo and less Kylie Jenner. I'm looking for more, who's a really famously, like, attractive? Not Jennifer Aniston. I mean, she's fine, but not like somebody that's, like, really famously, like, very pretty, like a model. I can't think of one. Okay, Nicole Kidman. A lot of people are really into her. Okay, so basically, what I'm saying is, when it comes to girls, I'm more Lizzo and less Nicole Kidman. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Um, I like big girls. First of all, to get very candid, so disclaimer, this is gonna get very adult. Don't worry, it's not gonna get dirty, but it's gonna get adult, so just fair warning. I've always liked girls with big boobs. Like, the bigger the better. Um, yeah, I, when I see a big rack, like a big, huge rack, I'm just like in the cartoons, like where your eyes pop out of your head, run away. Like, I've always, I mean, that's not unusual. That's pretty common. I've always liked girls with big boobs, but also though, I also like big girls with big everything. because I like fat girls. Now, I'm not saying I like morbidly obese Jabba the Hutt. Like, I'm not saying I want to have a girlfriend who is going to be on my 600-pound life and, is like, I come home from work. Hey, how's it going, baby? You hungry? I think I got some of my cheese sandwich under one of my fat folds. Here you go. I kept it warm under my fat for you. Like, obviously that's not what I'm attracted to. But I like girls that have just more of a fuller, rounder kind of figure. And more, a belly. I like a girl with a nice belly, I'm not saying I want her to have like a giant whopping, um, southern redneck beer belly necessarily. But a girl with a gut, it's alright with me. This is alright. Also, I like shorter girls. Like, not short, like, I'm not saying like little people. Although, I'll be honest, I'm not unattracted to little people. I've never really seen any little person men that I found attractive. But I've seen little person women that, like, I would date. Like, I would be with them. Like, I think they're attractive. Some people are like, so I told that to somebody once, and they were like, yeah, but like, this is how stupid people are. They go, yeah, but see, I could never do that because I just feel like I'm taking advantage of them. Why? Well, because they're disabled. Because they're shorter. They're physically disabled. They're not mentally disabled. They're not I'm sorry. They're not mentally retarded. They're just short. They're not... Just because they're shorter and technically are therefore physically disabled, that doesn't mean that they're mentally retarded. It's like, yeah, well, I just be taking too much advantage of them because, short people, they can't do math or, they can't, like, what? Little people famously are unable to read. Like, no, they're not. Like, when this person said that, they're like, it was a friend of mine, like, I just feel like I'm taking advantage of them. Why? Well, because, like, they're disabled. They're not retarded. They're not mentally disabled. I'm sorry, I couldn't get enough of that. It's so ridiculous. It was such a stupid comment. Oh, God. Well, anyway, but the reason I brought all that up with the different things I'm attracted to is that that's the thing. It's called the bicycle, or more a better term for it is split attraction, which means that yes, I am attracted to both men and women. But contrary to the way a lot of people view bisexuality, and actually probably, I would even say the vast majority, probably like 98% of bisexual people, are not attracted to to both sexes to the same degree and in the same way. Like, for example, like I said that I love big girls, like BBW, big beautiful women. That's a nice term. It is a porno term, but it's also a nice term. It sounds nice, right? Big beautiful women. BBW. Even the initials sound just refined and just so nice and like warm and cuddly. BBW. You know, I mean, who doesn't want to cuddle with a BBW, right? So, I mean, they're big. You know, there's a lot to grab onto. They're warm. They're soft. They're squishy. What's not to love? Um, but then on the opposite, if you give me like a big fat man, I guess some would call that a um, uh, I guess that would be a BHM, because a BBW is a big beautiful woman, so BHM would be a, well, you wouldn't say a beautiful man, big beautiful man, that would be weird. So yeah, BHM, a big handsome man. Yeah. I'm not attracted to BHMs. Fat guys actually turn me off. I'm gonna be honest here. Big fat guys, yeah, I'm not attracted to fat guys. Um, I'm also not attracted to very hairy guys either. So, fat chicks, big girls, BBWs, it's my favorite. But when it comes to guys, fat guys, big guys, even if they are handsome, I'm not saying like necessarily ugly, even good looking guys, but you know, they're fat. Sorry. It just, there's no interest. It's like missed target. I just, and I'm not saying this, it's not a conscious choice, by the way. It's, it's not like, well, like, maybe like over time, you know, or if I was with the right fat guy, maybe I could be into it. If I was with a guy and he wasn't fat and he got fat over time, right? Actually, honestly, that might actually be an issue for me. Not just because I'd want my partner to be healthy physically, um, but also, uh, which by the way, you could say, oh, so you don't want your female partner? No, I'd want my female partner, even as a BBW, to still be relatively healthy. You can be a BBW and be healthy. It is possible to be big and healthy. Healthy does not have to always mean zero. Healthy doesn't have to mean hourglass, you know, waist, whatever. You know, you can be big and be healthy. That is very different, though, from the fat is beautiful movement. The fat is beautiful movement wants to say that being big in and of itself is not unhealthy. Inherently. Or no. It's saying being big at any size is not necessarily unhealthy, which is obviously clearly not true. So, now, you could be big and still be fairly healthy. That's different. Some people are just born bigger. Some girls are just naturally big girls. Like, that's just the way they are. That's the way God made them. That's the way their body developed. Some girls are just naturally bigger. And will never look like the skinny, you know, hourglass waist type models or on the magazines or whatever, no matter what they do. Because it's just not in their genetics. It's not in the cards for them. And they can still be very healthy and have a very normal, manageable weight. So no, I'm not being hypocritical, because I would want my partner of any sex, any gender, to be, of either gender, of either sex, to be healthy. But you see how there's the split there? And also how overall, I guess again, because I do have a wider field, I generally do find more women attractive than I do men. So, but then again, as true as that is, it's still very rare that I see a girl that really like in real life, like in everyday life, not like on the online or whatever, but like in every real everyday life. It's even it's rare, even for women, for girls, where I see a girl where like my eyes pop out, like like in the cartoons, like where the eyes and then the cornea and then the pupils pop out, and then the pupils like keep running, they keep following the attractive girl like in a cartoon. Um, Actually, that's pretty rare in general. It's even more rare for me to see a man in real life, like in public, where that happens. Because again, I'm more picky and I have tighter standards with men. And again, not consciously. I didn't wake up one day and just go, I'm gonna decide to like this about men, and that about women, and this about men, and that about women, and that's my choice. No, like, it's all subconscious. I don't even have to think about it. It just happens like that, automatically. I see a guy that I like, that has all the characteristics like I've described, automatic. I like him or I don't like him. It's 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 immediate. It's like it's like love, but not love as I'm in love. No, I mean, but like it literally is like love, or I guess you could say lust would be a better descriptor for it. It's desire. Lust is a bit of a term with a lot of judgmental moral baggage on it. So let's use the term desire. It's more inclusive, more less judgmental term. Um, it literally is desire at first sight. If I see a guy and I think he's attractive, bing, it's on. It hits the target or it doesn't. Same thing with a woman. I'd see a woman, I'd see a girl, and like they make the eyes pop out all crazy like that. It hits the target or it just doesn't. More often with women, it does hit the target than for men in real life. But even having said that, even with women, it's still pretty uncommon. It's not super rare, but it's still pretty. With men, it's I would say it's not super rare, but it's much more rare that I'll see a guy like in everyday real life, not like online or in porn or whatever, that I find attractive. Um, like to that level, like the eyes popping out thing. But it's more common for women that I would see that. But even then, I don't see it every day. It's pretty few and far between, even with women. So you see how I have that split attraction, and so that's one of the first things I want to bring up is that bisexual people have this very complex, unique, personal to them, individualized inner dynamics psychologically going on in their head to what they like and what they're attracted to and what they find what they find desirable and exciting, and it's literally as varied as each individual. Every individual bisexual person's bisexuality is experienced by them in their own unique and complex way, usually with this very interesting back and forth interplay between their male attraction and female attraction. And it's very common that they will have this split, that there's things about men that they're attracted to that with women completely turn them off, and things about women that if men have any of those characteristics completely turns them off. Like with me, like I like big girls, but fat big guys, big fat men, total turn off. There's no, misses the target. Big girls, nice. They're nice. So, so that's one of the first, I guess I would say, stereotypes about bisexual people and misunderstandings is that people seem to think that to be bisexual must mean that you have to have the exact same type of desire and to the exact same degree and frequency for both. And that if it's not perfectly a 50-50 split, then you have to pick a side. So if you lean a little bit more or even a lot more towards women and you're a man, you have to identify as straight. You have to. And you go, well, what about the part that likes guys? Yeah, well, everybody's a little bit gay. That's the excuse given to people that have this notion. And then you could say, the same thing about women. Like, if you're a woman and you mostly like guys, then you have to identify as straight. And it's like, well, what if you're bisexual? If you're a bisexual woman and you also like women, but only like 20%, whereas you like guys 80%, right? And it's like, well, then you have to identify as straight because you mostly like guys. And it's like, what about the women? Well, all women are a little bit lesbian, or all women are bi. All women are bi. That's another myth that you hear all the time. Like, oh, well, that's normal. All women are bi, or all women are a little lesbian, or whatever. Which is just a variation of the, well, all men are a little bit gay, that sort of thing. And so, excuse me, I stretch. Been sick for a while. Another thing that I want to talk about is another thing I want to talk about is how I don't like I'm not really a fan of a lot of the newer identities that have come out in the last 10 years or so. When I first was coming out and exploring my sexuality, my sexual identity and all that in earnest, and was facing it honestly, no longer denying who I was or who I am, I encountered a lot of these earlier notions about, that that there's bisexual, but there's also pansexual, and there's also omnisexual, and they're asexual, and all these other identities as well. I always looked at those, and I kind of always sort of thought it was ridiculous a little bit, but I figured, hey, who am I, excuse me, who am I to dictate somebody else's lived experience, and who am I to tell somebody how to identify, right? Now, at some point, I decided to try it out myself. And I tried identifying with some of these sub-identities. It's almost like basically like having a sexual identity that comes with an expansion pack and add-ons. I mean, I'm not trying to be glib, flippant, or disrespectful. I mean, for real, like descriptively. Like that really is how it seems to work. That's like, you're not just bisexual. You're not just bisexual, but you're pansexual. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means you're attracted to everybody. Okay. Well, I was already attracted to men and women when I was identifying as bi. What more is there? Well, you have to understand that there's also people that identify as non-binary. Okay. I mean, yeah, there are. And this is I'm saying back when I was first coming out to myself and everything. And I was like, well, yeah, there are, but I mean, not that many. And it's pretty rare. It's not a very common thing. So, yeah. um, and, and then I started wondering, well, maybe oh, I'm sorry, I was talking about pansexual. It's like, well, so pansexual means you're attracted to men, women, and non-binary people. But aren't non-binary people already men or women? And that the whole thing, the very notion of their non-binariness is that they're to some degree, in conflict between their gender identity, their presented gender identity to the world, as well as is their lived experience, and their physical appearance, to greater or lesser extent. Wouldn't that be what being non-binary is? Right? So that would already mean that they already either are male or female to begin with, biologically. And the non-binary part is based on how they view themselves internally. Well, no, because then we're told, well, no, because a person can be a man who identifies, a person can be a man, even a very masculine man with a big beard and everything, but they can identify as a female and be attracted to women, and since they identify as female and they're attracted to women, therefore they can identify as a lesbian. Yeah, Paul Bunyan can come in and or the brawny guy from the old brawny towel commercials, with the lumberjack hat and the beard and the thick hairy chest and the I'm wearing some myself, the flannel, rocking that flannel, baby. That guy can come up to you and be like, hey, what's going on? My name's Paul. I don't want to say Paul Bunyan, so my name's Paul Brawny. How's it going? I've been working up in these hills with my brothers for years. And it's like, wow, okay. Wow, all right. It's like, I'm a proud member of the LGBT community. Well, we gotta be inclusive now, right? The LGBTQIA plus community. And it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Are you bi? Are you a gay? Are you a gay mountain man? Do you like other big brawny hairy mountain men? I mean, as we discussed earlier, that wouldn't be my thing, but hey, if that's your thing, man, hell yeah, man. More power to you. Go chase those bears. Literally. Literally and figuratively. You're in the forest, go chase those bears. When you're in the gay club, go chase those bears. More power to you. Fuck yeah. I'm all about it. Body positivity, you know, people not being ashamed of the way they look just because the way they look doesn't fit some bizarre predetermined beauty standard. Fuck yeah. I mean, look at me. I mean, I basically look like a giant penis with glasses. I basically look like I'm like my head looks like it's only a few centimeters, or maybe about an inch or two, I should say, away from being one of the cone heads. Okay, so I'm aware that I am not conventionally handsome. All right, so I would be the last person to try and tell people they should be ashamed of because of the way they look. You know, of course not. In fact, when people are attracted to me, I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, I like you. You do? Yeah. In fact, I think I want to take you to bed. I'm like, you do? Are you sure? Me? So, you know, I'm the last person that would tell somebody that they should be ashamed of the way they look. I mean, that's the way God made you. Now, obviously, you should dress nice. You know, you should dress like a decent, you know, somewhat fashionable person. You know, you should dress well, you know, appropriate for whatever your work environment is. You know, you should take care of your physical appearance. You know, you should, you know, take care of your teeth, obviously. You know, um, um, maybe, you know, make your hair look, you know, style your hair up a bit, you know. You don't have to go crazy, but you should take care of yourself, you know. Make yourself look good. Like what you would think is sexy and attractive and handsome, that's what you should do. You should do that so that you can attract that, and because it'll make yourself feel good. Like, when I'm dressed up, like really dressed up, like I just got a fresh cut, right? I'm shaved. I got my gold bar mitzvah ring on. I'm wearing a nice white button, you know, dress shirt. You know, I got a new suit on. I'm fucking rolling in like, you know, like gang. I'm fucking rolling in like the Rat Pack, like let's make it rain in the club, you know, like old school, like fancy, like cigar and whiskey. No, but you know, to get back to being serious, when I'm all dressed up and fancy and I got my hair nice and all that, I feel good. I feel damn good. I feel like charged. I feel confident. I feel somewhat more powerful, you know? I feel like I could stand a little taller, put my chest out a little more. I could like say, "This is me," and I'm proud of it. I could say, "This is me," and Jean-Claude Van Damme, do I look good? You know, it makes you feel good about yourself, which is good for your psychology. It's good for your mental health as well. As well as the fact that it has the advantage of it'll attract people to you. You know. Um, wow, I didn't really mean. I didn't actually intend to go into all that, but okay. But but with it, but over time, I've kind of come to have less and less regard for that whole notion of these different sub identities. It's not that I like hate people that have them. No. That's ridiculous. That no. It's just I just don't take them very seriously. And I'm not gonna I would never be disrespectful. I would never put somebody down or shame anybody for identifying in this way. Because again, it's your unique experience. But for people that have that attitude, well, it's me and my identity. I can identify however I want. I get that, and I fully 100% understand where you're coming from. hello. However, something that I've come to understand over time, and why I stopped using a lot of these, or any of these, like sub-labels within the orientation, or with these sub-identities within my broader bisexual identity, is, and I think this is just a thing that comes with maturity, you do have to keep into consideration that your identity, even though it's your own and it's unique to you and it's special and it's beautiful, and I'm not saying that sarcastically, I mean all that sincerely, but you also have to keep in mind that it also, another function of, and kind of a whole, sort of the whole purpose of having an identity to begin with, is because there are other people. And you have to keep in mind, when you use your identity and you describe yourself, that you're talking to other people who may not necessarily be coming from the same understanding or sympathetic, loving, tolerant place, like I am, like that I accept anybody's identity, however they want to identify. I would never tell anybody, you should not identify as that. No. But when you do decide to identify, and again, I think this comes more with maturity, keep in mind that your identity also has to sort of make sense somewhat to other people. And I'm not saying that this is good or bad. I'm saying it is, whether you think there's a good thing or a bad thing, either way, it's simply reality. And that is that if you break these labels down too much, and you make your identity too broad or too specific, I'm just gonna be real with you, honey. Sweetheart. I'm gonna be real gentle here, but if you do that, people aren't going to take you very seriously. I know that sucks to hear, especially if you're somebody who you've really struggled and you've really gone through a lot to really come to your identity, and you really own who you are, and it means a lot to you. I get that. I totally get that, because I've been there too. So I'm not somebody coming down on you. I'm not some weird Milo Yiannopoulos type, like homophobic or biphobic bisexual guy. No. I get where you're coming from. I do understand. And again, I'm not saying this to be sarcastic. I'm saying this for real with my heart. I hear you. I understand you. I accept you. And I love you. I mean that. And if you would come to me and you'd want to be around me, you would always be safe with me. I would never do anything. I mean, if you were a really close friend, I'd make little jokes like I would with any friend, just to tease you, just for fun, like it would any friend. But I would never intentionally do anything to shame you or to put you down for your identity, however you identify. I would never do that, ever. With that being said, I do want you to consider that when you use your identity out in the world with other people who are not as understanding and the broader public, people will not take you seriously. Not everybody, I'm not saying nobody, but a lot of people, I would even say the majority of people, will not take you seriously. I'll use myself as an example. For a while, I started identifying myself as a homo-romantic, as a bi-homoromantic individual, or bi-homoromantic guy, which meant that I was bisexual, or that I am bisexual, and I have physical, sexual feelings for men and women, but I only have romantic, like, feelings, like who I want to fall in love with for men. I don't have those for women. Well, even though technically that is still true, that is true. I actually don't have those kind of romantic feelings for women. I like women. I'm physically attracted to women. But I don't develop those, like, crushes, those, like, your heart beats a bit faster. That's sort of, you got butterflies in your tummy, like, oh, they looked at me. Like that sort of, feeling, I don't really get that for women. I mostly get that for men. And that's still true. But, that being said, I don't identify as gay. I did for a while, but I don't identify as gay because I'm not. I'm simply not. I simply cannot be a guy, let's just be honest, who likes pussy. I know it's very crude, but I like big tits and I like pussy. I can't be gay. You can't be gay if you're a guy who likes tits and pussy. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll clean the language up. Boobs, breasts, and vaginas. But that's not too clinical. So let's just say boobs and vaginas. Alright? Does that work? Is that clean enough? It's in the middle. You cannot be a guy who likes boobs and vaginas and is turned on and attracted to that and call yourself gay. that doesn't make sense, right? So I can't call myself gay, and I'm not gay. But I also can't call myself straight. And fair warning, I'm going to be very dirty, very descriptive here. But let's put it this way. You can't really call yourself straight if you enjoy giving blowjobs to other men. I'm not saying getting. Because, I mean, yeah, that's a false thing. Like, well, he only did it to me. I didn't do it to him, so he's gay. I know that's not how that really... You're both gay. Come on. Drop the act. But even from the perspective of that sort of a person, someone using that argument, still, if you like getting blowjobs from guys, that's pretty gay. But even though it's wrong, you could still sort of see the out. Like, well, I would never do it. I don't mind getting it, but I don't want to do it. Oh, no. But if you're a guy and you enjoy doing it, in fact, if you enjoy doing it even more than you enjoy having it done, yeah, you're not straight. If you're a guy who enjoys giving blowjobs and even enjoys giving them more than getting them to other guys, you are not heterosexual. And that's me. I like it. I like giving blowjobs. Actually, it turns me on even more to give them even more. It turns me on to give them even more than to get them. So, yeah. Can't really call myself straight then, can I? And that's pretty much been a consistent pattern for my entire life. I've always felt that way. Even when I denied it, it was still there. But I just denied it. But it was still there. It's always been there. I've always felt it. So, there you go. So there's a couple other reasons. Why I don't like these like sub-identities and why I don't use them. And another thing about that is they come from this place of assuming that bi is exclusionary. And that's because it's saying, well, it's saying bi, and it's not taking on the full panorama of gender identities and everything. But the thing is, though, bi was never meant to be exclusionary to begin with when the term first came about. The term was always meant to mean somebody that likes both male, whatever shade and form that takes, but that male and female, whatever shade and form that may take, a masculine female or a feminine male, but either or everything and anything and in between those, but male and female variations of one of those. It was meant to include every variation. It was never meant to be exclusionary. This whole notion that it's exclusionary is a very modern invention that, when the word bisexual was first created, was certainly not even on the radar of. So it's actually kind of, honestly, it really is kind of biphobic, because it's going, no, your identity is not good enough. You have to change it to make it more open and more broad. But it's already broad. It's already meant to include everybody. Depending on variation and taste by each individual, but broadly speaking, it's meant to include people that are attracted to people from both male, female, every shade of the spectrum. It's not meant to be exclusionary. So to tell bi people that identifying as bi is somehow bigoted because it's exclusionary to other genders, in and of itself is biphobic and bigoted. Because you're telling people how to identify, first of all, which is wrong on the face of it, and you're disrespecting their chosen identity by telling them that it's invalid, and that it's wrong. And now you could say, well, you could say that about somebody that doesn't approve of the pansexual label. True, but up until about 10 years ago, pansexual was a very, 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 very niche thing in the LGBTQ community exclusively. And so now there is a debate. You could say, well, is there more of it now because there always was and it's just more known? Or is there more about it now because people are hearing about it and people have more liberal attitudes and are more open nowadays, so people are trying on different identities more openly and more frequently, which I suspect, because there's such a high level of social tolerance, people feel now more free to do that, to experiment with these different identities. Even if most of them, I would say most of them are going to mature out of it and eventually will just settle on one of the more traditional, labels, gay, bi, or straight, or trans. Well, if you're trans, you can still be gay, bi, or straight, but we won't get into that right now. That's a whole other subject. That's beyond the focus of this video. Another issue is the idea of bi eraser, which is a phenomena where both gay and straight people tend to often subconsciously erase bisexual experience. For example, by labeling historically bisexual people, like famously bisexual historical figures, labeling them as gay, even though they were bisexual. For example, not David Bowie. Oh, he was pretty openly bisexual. Excuse me. Freddie Mercury. You hear it from everybody. Freddie Mercury was gay. 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 People even go, Freddie Mercury was gay. He even died from AIDS. Like, which, it's like, dying from AIDS, it's like, somehow, like, gives you an extra point on the gay meter. Hey, I died from AIDS, okay? So that means when I was alive, I was extra gay. Like, what? That's such homophobic thinking. That's the whole thinking of the old days of when AIDS was called GRID, gay-related immune disease. Like, that's so homophobic. Excuse me. But Freddie Mercury was not gay. Freddie Mercury was a Hasidic Jew. No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine, like, what? Doesn't even make sense. Freddie Mercury was bi. To portray him as gay would be to imply that his marriage to his first wife and long-term girlfriend and lifelong friend was somehow illegitimate on some level because he was gay and he wasn't really attracted to her. But this is not so. Because if you look at you read about it, and you read about their relationship, they were very clearly romantically in love. Very much. It was more than just friendship. They were very much in love. And when it ended, and he met a guy, and fell in love with the guy, with his partner, they were then also, just as legitimately, very much in love. And this notion, for example, in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, where they make it look like, oh, he struggled with his homosexuality, which I'm not saying he didn't, he did, but they make it look like, oh, that his whole marriage was just a beard. She was just his beard, She was just his cover the whole time because he didn't want to admit that he was really gay. That's such a cop-out. That's such horse shit. Because when you really read about, the real, story of Freddie Mercury and about them, it's very clear that was not the case. That they did love each other very much. In a heterosexual, romantic sort of fashion. That he had heterosexual feelings for her. More than just platonic, more than just friendship. But he was bisexual, and he did like men as well, and he eventually did meet a man who then he also fell in love with, just like a straight man could fall out of love with a woman, get divorced, and then meet another woman and fall in love totally head over heels for her and forget about the first one. That's not out of line for a straight person or for a gay man to break up with his boyfriend and meet another man and fall blindly head over heels in love for that guy and totally forget about the old guy. That would be natural for a gay man. Just as it was natural for Freddie Mercury as a bisexual man to, end the relationship with his girl that he was in love with and meet a guy, fall in love with him, and pursue a relationship with him. Also loving, just as loving, just as devoted. And this attempt to smooth over that, or to make it look as though that were not the case and that he actually was just secretly homosexual the whole time, and not bi, but actually fully gay the whole time. What are you doing? Oh, look who woke up from their nap. Somebody woke up from their nap. Look who woke up from their nap. Hello. Hello. And so things like that are called bi eraser. And so by telling people that they should not identify as bi, or that if they're going to identify as bi, they should also identify with one of these sub type of smaller identifying labels as well, it's really just invalidating the bi identity. Because the bi identity is a big, broad, beautiful, inclusive umbrella that includes so many different complex interplays and mixes and layered plays between the two types of attraction to both sexes. And yes, there are only two sexes. There are a very, very, very tiny portion of people that are born hermaphroditic, and that is considered the extreme exception. There are broadly speaking, only two sexes. Gender identity is broad and varied and can have all kinds of forms and presentations. But when it comes to biological sex, there are only two sexes, broadly speaking. And then there are hermaphrodites that are the extreme exception. But most people are either male or female and identify as such. And that is simply the reality. I'm not saying that it should be that way or that it's biologically imperative that it stays that way. No, it will stay that way biologically just because it just is. It's not imperative and we don't need to defend biology. Listen, to all you conservatives out there, we need to defend biology. We don't need to defend biology. Because guess what? Biology ain't going nowhere. Alright? So calm down. Let the kids play and let them have their little labels and whatever things they want to believe that I'm biologically female today, but tomorrow I'm going to maybe be biologically non-binary, which is totally not possible. Okay, you do that. You're so brave. Let them have their fun. Fuck them. Who cares? Let them have their fun. But still, it is bi eraser. It is a form of bi eraser, which is biphobic, which is bigoted towards bisexual people, because it's saying no. It's not good enough to just be bi and have that as a big, open, inclusive identity. No. You need to really pinpoint this. You need to really break up into as tribalistic and separate groups as you possibly can. Why can't we all just be one big, giant, beautiful bisexual family who all experience our dual attractions in various and beautiful, complex ways unique to each individual? Which brings me into my next thing. That micro-labels over-pathologize normal human variation. That's a lot. But when we do these micro-labels and we break up our attraction, our identity, aside from being confusing and irritating to most people, it also is just like breaking up and pathologizing like normal average variations in human sexuality and turning them into like little sub identities that they really don't need to be. Like, you wouldn't say, today I identify as happy, and then the next day you're sad. Today I identify as sad. You wouldn't do that, because you either are sad one day or you are happy the next day, or you could be sad earlier in the day and happy later in the day. You could even be a mix of sad and happy. You could be a little bit sad for one reason and a little bit happy for a different reason, both simultaneously at the same time. But you don't have to identify as happy. You don't have to identify as sad. You could just be sad and just tell people, I'm sad. I'm feeling sad today. Or I'm feeling sad right now. Or I'm happy today. Or I'm feeling happy right now. You don't have to identify. It's not an identity to be sad. It's not an identity to be happy. It just is. It's sort of the same thing with these labels. It's not an identity for me to be bi and homoromantic. It just is. And it doesn't need a label. And it doesn't need a subcategory. And it doesn't need any of that. It's just the unique and beautiful and individualistic way that God has put me together, and the way that I experience my bisexuality. The way, just how any other bisexual person will experience it in their beautiful and own special, individualistic, unique way to them. But guess what? We're both still equally bisexual. It doesn't matter that we have these variations. We're all, again, like I said before, we're all still part of the same big, broad, beautiful bisexual family. So those labels are really unnecessary. For the same reason it's unnecessary to, again, identify as happy or say you identify as sad. You either are happy, you are sad. It's just it's a natural human variation. Just like just using the term just for descriptive purposes, being bi, homo, romantic, it's just a normal, natural variation of my bisexuality, how I individually experience it. Just as another bisexual person may experience their bisexuality 180 degrees differently from the way I do, but we're both still bisexual. So, I guess this is actually sort of the same kind of thing, is that overlap. These overlaps. Well, you know what? This is actually kind of the same point, if you really think about it. So that's the end of those notes. It's just unnecessary. There's just no real reason for it. The only real reason for it, there's only two reasons for it. One, descriptive. If you really want to explain to people like the way your bisexuality works, because again, bisexual people, unlike people seem to think, bisexual people experience their bisexuality in very individual, unique ways. It's not the same for everybody. People will experience their attractions to different degrees. It's very rarely 50-50. People are very rarely do you find a true 50-50 bisexual. It's like, yep, I like women exactly this much, and I like men exactly the same in every way. Physically, emotionally, romantically, sexually, every way. That's actually very uncommon. Interestingly enough, that gold standard bisexual who likes everything perfectly 50-50, it's actually incredibly rare. That's actually not very common. Way more common is the person whose attraction is like, you know, like, um, you know, like 80-20, or, you know, something like that, where it's not an even split. And then last, and also kind of sort of related to, like I was saying about how people are not going to understand you, outside of these very niche groups. And this is my last point, and this video's gone way longer than I originally intended, and I still want to review it. Even though I don't edit it, I still watch them before I put them out. Just, you know, and that does affect things. Like, I made one last night, and then I watched it, and I'm like, nah, it's no good, because that's already a lot of stuff I've covered before. So, but I do want to end this so I can review it and then put it up. So I'm just going to end with, and this is sort of related to that original point, fatigue over never-ending boxes. If you keep adding things, and you keep adding more and more stuff, people are going to get less and less interested, less and less patient, and eventually are just going to not care. They just don't care. They're just tired of it. They're just sick of it. They're sick of hearing about it, and they're sick of hearing about it all the fucking time. And I'm one of these people that when you first come out, everything is like your identity, and everything is bisexuality, and everything is your identity, and you're experiencing everything, and it's new, and it's free, and that's fine, that's beautiful, that's the way it should be, you know, you know, as long as it's healthy and you're happy, that's fine, but just know it's annoying. And the more you go on with it, and the older you get, the more annoying it gets, and the less people have patience for it, and the more fatigued they get, and the less they want to hear about it. And that's why you're hearing about this LGBTQ fatigue phenomena nowadays. Now, a lot of it is homophobic people just like, why do they have to talk about it so much? Which really is actually just them going, why do they have to talk about it at all? I don't want to hear about it at all. I don't want to live in a society that acknowledges them as equals to me. Yeah, a lot of it is that. But a lot of it really is honestly just people that are just so fucking sick of hearing about it. Even myself, personally, other than when I sometimes talk about it with friends or people that ask questions, or when I do these videos, I actually don't really think that much about it, honestly. Unless it comes up somehow, because someone asks me something about my personal life or whatever, or I'm trying to help somebody else out who's just coming out or whatever, and they're exploring their identity, or I see something in the news. Other than those three exceptions, it doesn't really come up very much with me nowadays anymore. And actually, I find it kind of boring at this point to go over the same thing over and over and over again. So it's not just straight people that are having the fatigue. It's even other LGBTQ people who are having the fatigue. Who are like, alright, enough already. We get it. We're you. We're the same. Shut the fuck up already. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And I guess the overall subject, I would say, I still haven't even come up with a title, but that's why I favor the term bi and bisexual over all of the other little sub-labels and over the alternative labels like pansexual. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have, folks. That's all she wrote. And until next time, love, peace, and chicken grease, and I'm out. Love you all, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye! Goodbye, my lovelies.